Hey Techno Studs! I love getting certifications and I have a lot of them, but I've also not gone after certifications before as well. So let's talk about some disadvantages of certifications and why you wouldn't go after a certification. A certification might advance you towards a goal, but it has a cost associated with it. And I'm not just talking about the cost of the certification itself, but really more from a time perspective. When you invest into something like a certification, you are saying yes to that opportunity, yes to that certification. But every time we say yes to a certain opportunity, we're saying no to other opportunities. Your time is one of the most valuable things that you have in your lifetime. And as you get older, you realize that more and more. What are you going to invest in your time into? And a lot of it has to do with your priorities. So there are other personal things that going after certification could take away from things in our personal life or in our professional life. And so there's a cost to that as well. So we just have to assess that cost and that value, that your time might be more valuable spent in other areas. Certifications also might not align with your goal. If your goal is to increase your salary at your current position at your current company, but your employer doesn't value certifications, then that's not going to be helpful as you travel towards your goals. In addition to that, I have seen some conflicting information out there about how much certifications actually contribute to your salary. That is that there are some positions where a certification is actually possibly a detractor from your salary rather than increasing your salary. So make sure you do the research on, is the certification you're going after actually going to propel you towards your goal? One of the traps to certain certifications is it could take you down a route that you don't necessarily want to go. That is, if you want your career to go one way, but you're getting a certification to go in a different direction, it might not be a good fit. Also, as you're studying for these certifications, it takes a lot of extra time and effort to actually get the certification. And some of those little minute details to get the actual certification might not necessarily be information that you need to know. Maybe you need to know the base level of information, but the actual extra information that you need to know to get the certification is not going to be as helpful. So that is one other consideration there. And then also is that certifications lag the industry. It takes them a while to develop the curriculum, to develop the tests, to develop all of that stuff. And because of that, sometimes when you go after a certification, it's outdated information. So you're studying some outdated information and not staying current with the different technologies. And speaking of value, I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. If you like them, it really helps me out to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, I'll have some information down below for extra classes like an IT career success class once I build it out. So I hesitantly mentioned this next one. Do you like to take certification tests? Do you like to study for certifications? Is it something you enjoy? And so I hesitantly mention this because sometimes you just have to press through for the greater good, for making your dreams happen. But if you're not a big fan of these certifications, there are other ways to get experience and grow your career that doesn't necessarily involve any sort of exam. Now, another one that I'm going to be hesitant about mentioning as well, are you happy at your current level? There might be a reason to just really be comfortable with where you're at and not really want to advance your skills. Now, the reason why I'm hesitant in mentioning this is for two reasons. Number one is that in the IT career, if you're not advancing your skills and you're not growing your skills, then you could get behind and then become irrelevant. And I've seen this happen again and again. Really, I don't recommend getting into the IT career field if you like the status quo. If you're not wanting to advance and progress your skills, then it might not necessarily be the best career for you because technology is constantly changing. The other reason why I'm hesitant to mention this one at all is because that we are meant to grow as humans. There has been studies that have shown that people that become complacent and are not growing, at least in some area of their life, become unhappy. And if you do that too long in your career, then you're gonna become unhappy in your career. So I really believe that at any point in time, you should be growing in some area of your life, and at certain points, that should be your career. Now, most likely everybody here is wanting to grow. That's why you're watching this video. So I'm curious to know what areas in your life are you growing? So mention that down in the comments below. If you lack follow-through, certifications might not be the best route for you. And what I mean by this is that certifications are difficult. It takes a certain amount of tenacity to get these certifications. So if you find in your life that you lack a bit of follow-through and you lack that execution all the way to completion, then reconsider getting these certifications, or at least reconsider getting it right now. Instead, maybe what may be a more valuable time spent for you is going to be get really good at follow through. And I'm going to be creating a course eventually. I'll put that down in the description down below once I create it, but talking about follow through and how we can follow through with things. And it's kind of like a muscle. You build up that muscle first before you tackle something bigger like a certification. And that way, then you have the power and the strength to tackle that certification and make it to success. If you're going to commit to something, do it. So one of the considerations you may have, but I'm not a big fan of, is lack of money. And the reason why I say I'm not a big fan of this argument at all is because this is an investment into yourself. By going out and growing your experiences, by getting educated, by getting these certifications, you're investing into yourself. And that has huge payoffs long term. There are resources that can help you out. There are free resources that can help you out with training. There's also programs that can pay for training and certifications that are out there. The other reason why I say this also is because this is an investment that could pay off in the amounts of thousands or even tens of thousands per year. You're advancing your career. So why are you going to be stingy with your money and not invest into your own self and get educated and get these certifications when it has such a huge payoff? So don't just hold on to that money just for the lack of not wanting to spend money. But do it wisely. So you do have to consider what is your next best steps with that. How do you invest that money? I continue to spend money into investing into myself. I continue to be a big fan of certifications in general, but there are these considerations that I consider as I'm getting into a specific certification or going after a certification. There are times when I either delay or not do a certification at all, and these are the things that go into my mind thought on whether I'm going to do a certification or not.